Alright, welcome back everybody. So as promised, we're picking up right where I left off, and I'm about to go into a very, you know, I'm going to consider it very in-depth explanation of my interpretation of the D&D alignment system. Okay. Uh, so the D&D alignment system definitely has a... That's where my buttons broke. Why can't I sprint? Yeah, the D&D alignment system has a lot of people that have a lot of different interpretations. Why can't I sprint? But you know, it's a fun topic for I'm gonna debate on interpretation and just thinking about and then applying to effectively real life, I suppose. Um, so the 9 alignments, it's a 3x3 chart that is lawful, neutral, chaotic, and then good, neutral, and evil, right? So the brief explanation of these things. Lawful good is like, your paladins, your Superman. They have a strict moral code that they will enforce that ultimately results in good things, generally. It's for the best interest of people, even if it's not always what they would want. It results in a pretty good amount of goodness, right? Like, is what it is. Neutral good is definitely, in my opinion, the best good. Also, I think we're gonna have to wait out this hangover, but neutral good, I think it's the best good on the grounds that what neutral good kind of revolves around is that your entire goal is to do the most good for the sake of doing good, right? And so what that kind of translates to is, your objective at the end of the day is always the amount of good done is maximized, right? So whether or not it's what people intend, uh, you know, you're not too concerned for what is technically correct. It's what's going to help people, right? And so it's it's definitely a good thing, right? Chaotic good is similar, but it isn't the same. So chaotic good is like your Robin Hood kind of thing. It's very much, you are effectively like exclusively punching up, right? Your objective is I'm going to do the right thing at the cost of, people doing the wrong thing in a way, right? Now, it's not that you are holding people to a standard or anything. It's that your your entire objective on that guy. I say that guy as in, your entire objective by being chaotic good is anything goes to help, effectively a class of people, right? Be that, the poor or the sick or whatever it is, And so that's kind of the spectrum there. Chaotic good puts some evil into the world. So where lawful good and chaotic good, they both steal some good from the world to put extra good into a certain class of people, right? So neutral good is good for the sake of results in the most good. Take that a step down into the neutral section between good and evil. You have neutral, right? And so in that section, you have lawful neutral, which is typically like a judge or a lawyer or something like that, right? They like a mercenary. There is a lawful code. There's some kind of order, and you are going to follow that order for better or worse. That is the order you're going to follow, and it just simply is what it is. You know, you just live with it. So it's like if there's a rule that you don't like in your code, like it really is just like suck it up. That is the code, and you're going to adhere to it because that is the rule, right? And so the objective of that is just simply you're putting your faith in everybody adhering to the rule, right? It's a good alignment, not like good as in benevolent, but it's a helpful alignment that's definitely not evil necessarily. It can lean for sure, but it's a solid one. And I'll get to the real life application of these things in a minute. After that, we have true neutral, which is a very weird alignment. Some people don't believe in true neutral, but it's, you know, obviously you can't be perfectly centered. That's not really how that works. It's, you fall into a box, then you have leanings one way or the other, sure. But when you say that you're true neutral, your objective as true neutral, right, is that you do what is best for you at the time, right? It is no recollection of the past and no concept of the future. At the time, what is your best choice, okay? And now, I say at the time with no past, no future, that kind of stuff, but what I mean by that is that you know, if you follow it a few steps down the line and then a choice results in a better outcome, obviously you're going to pick that one because it's just a better choice. You know, it's like, you know, at the time it seemed like the right thing to punch the guy, so I punched him. But then, you know, it's also like, well, no, 'cause that's not in my best interest. It's looking out for yourself very selfishly in a way. But not inherently. You'll still do both good and bad things as long as it's benefiting you, right? And so in a D&D context, true neutral is the DM. You know, you're not partial any type of way. You follow some rules, you break some rules, all that kind of good stuff. But the end result is what's best for the game, which is an extension of you, right? That's kind of how true neutral works. It's a weird concept in a certain type of way, but it does actually make a good bit of sense. And it took me a long time to understand true neutral, but with my interpretation of true neutral, it just kind of checks out, right? Past that, chaotic neutral. Chaotic neutral is typically referred to as like the whole free spirit kind of thing. Like you just do whatever you want, you know? It is the epitome of the whole no recollection of the past, no concept of the future, that whole type of deal. Because, I mean, it's literally like, you know, like an animal. Like a dog, kind of. You know, they, you know, like when a dog, like, runs out the front door and runs down the road or something, it's not that the dog is thinking, I want to escape from this area. The dog is thinking, not necessarily, I mean, generally speaking here, the dog is thinking, man, it sure would be fun to go out there and new smells and see new things. That'd be fun. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And then the dog does. It's not that they're acting maliciously towards you. You know, and it's just that they think that it would be fun to do that, right? I see a lot of people interpret chaotic neutral as, you know, shorthand for I would like to play a bad guy that's not technically a bad guy, right? So you kind of allow yourself the flexibility
God
to
save.
steal without, you know, inherently being a bad dude, right? Sort of is what it is. I don't like chaotic neutral because people that play chaotic neutral
I'd like you to
for without
Alright.
any real explanation. I just kind of assume that
That's a-
they intend on more or less just being a tool. You know, just
Agreed.
not really a cool dude. And if you can play chaotic neutral well, that's fantastic. You know, like, do you? Past that, we get into lawful evil. Okay. This one. And drinking, I don't like any of these. I'll take wine. And reading, I will take cushion. Yeah, so lawful evil is it's not the worst evil by any means. It's just that, you know, there's a strict code somewhere, right? With your best interest in mind. It's a very selfish and inherently malevolent to a lot of people. But it's that, however, you know, you manage to get to a lawful evil position, from a top-down perspective, it's that you have organized and used everybody to suit your best interest, okay? And so, you know, that can feed into, if the king is lawful evil, his knights could be lawful good if they genuinely believe they're doing the best good that they can by enforcing evil codes, because they don't see it as evil, right? It's a weird concept, but it checks out. Lawful evil, you know, it's you know, if there was like theoretically a lawyer, right, whose goal in life was just to make sure that guilty people, you know, don't go to jail, right? That is inherently lawful evil. Like, they're going to pull out every stop to act in that best interest. It's selfish. It's, you know, abusing the system, right? It's not adhering strictly to a system for the sake of adhering to the system. It's adhering to the system for selfish gain, right? You know, it's organized evil, organized malevolence, organized selfishness, that kind of thing. Neutral evil is more or less the polar opposite of the neutral good, the whole do good for the sake of good. Neutral evil says, I am going to actively make whatever decision is going to result in other people not being happy. My objective is to hurt people because I want to hurt people, right? And that's what neutral evil is. It's kind of on par for the most evil, because it's evil for the sake of evil, right? It is, I am going to steal so that you don't have something, right? It's you know, it's punching somebody because you want them to be hurt. It's that type of thing, which, I mean, it's not that you want the money. It's not that you want anything more than you don't want somebody else to have something, right?
Greetings.
So that's pretty awful.
Are you? It's
Chaotic evil.
ever.
Chaotic evil is doing anything you want perfectly for yourself. So the difference between chaotic neutral and chaotic evil is a pretty thin line, honestly, in my opinion. It's
What's it?
it's not like a dog where it just seems like the fun thing to do at the time. It's
what
that you
And what?
I don't want to mess up this quest. Give me 1 second. Cool. It's a lot of times it's like the Joker is kind of the go-to example, I think.
Hey.
But that's not really
Math.
I'm gonna mess up this quest, but either which way.
What a.
It's literally just
What?
like inherently being selfish, malevolent, just generally causing chaos, I guess. So it's kind of skewed. The lines around neutral evil, chaotic evil, and chaotic neutral are all thin, I guess.
I hope.
And it's not super, it's not super ideal. It's definitely bad, but
What?
but
Look, I don't.
I've already messed with this quest.
Of course.
May the Lord watch over
Sure.
you.
Okay, cool. Yes,
Jesus, what
I
have
got
you
really
been up-
rambly there. Basically, chaotic evil is just literally no regard for anybody else at all.
Henry's come to see us.
Just what is best for me, you know. That's how the line gets kind of
And that's.
strange, I guess, with the whole thing.
See you later.
I'm gonna call that quest done, but I don't have a clue what happened. So that's kind of where that is. And now, I guess taking it back from the top, real life examples of these kind of things, how maybe they can be practically applied in a way, because I kind of look at it through a practical context, a certain type of way, you know, to the best of my ability. Variki. I also need a shovel. So lawful good, it's in a practical context, it's you know, it's kind of where that whole lawful but awful saying comes into play. Also, we are not in Sasau. The shovel is not here. It's that lawful but awful, which is why I don't think it's the best good. You know, it's I don't like this example, but it's a good example. Cops are, you know, relatively lawful good.
God save you.
Ideally, they are, in the sense that the law is designed around helping people,
I'm
and they
looking
are
for a
going to strictly enforce that law, and
See,
that's
not
the
what-
goal, right?
What?
And so I don't like the example on the grounds that
What?
the
Well-
best decision isn't
Why?
always the prescribed decision. No, you don't need to always give a ticket, arrest somebody, or whatever. You don't always need to do that. But prescribed, if you're doing 1 mile over the speed limit, you rate a ticket. But I mean, no cop is going to do that 100% of the time, and that's just how
I'd
it
like to
is.
try
You know, 5.
I'd like that.
And if anything happens to it, watch out. So how much will you bet?
Oh, I forgot a bow.
No half.
That take care now.
Oops. Yeah, so that's kind of a real life application. If you were to live a lawful good lifestyle, very strictly speaking, right? Um, you wouldn't really be doing
I
the
can't go
good
any
if you
further.
think
The
you're
current
doing,
could sweep me to my death.
if you did it very blindly. It's a tad bit unfortunate, but I like cops too, so you know, whatever that's worth to anybody. Holy crap, I'm missing every shot. I might actually lose this. This bow is this bow is horrible. Oh my god, this bow is trash. I'm not even gonna compete. I thought I had a better bow. Absolutely lost my train of thought there, but yeah, so the real life application, it's you definitely think that you're doing the right thing, and in general you probably are doing not the worst thing, but it goes both ways, you know. Take it all for what it's worth. Neutral good in a real life application is very self-governing, and you know, it's your own moral code that you have to have a pretty strong one in the first place. And this is a relatively objective way of speaking, I suppose. Subjectively, you know, people that are lawful will not appreciate that you break rules whenever, you know, your goal is to do the right thing, right? So they would see that as a bad thing. But it's
Hey, mother of God.
it's not malicious by any means. It's very much like ignoring the little details for a bigger picture type of deal, right?
So,
You came last, lad. But
Oh well.
take care now.
Hey, let me keep the arrows. It's nice of them. I don't want them, but I have them. I don't have them anymore. I consider myself generally in the increases your speech skill when haggling. I want empathetic. Yes, I mean, I consider myself neutral good in general. Not everybody appreciates it, but I mean, when the best choice isn't the prescribed choice, it's still the best choice, right? So it just kind of, it's the best choice. You know, sometimes it's just to simplify things, sometimes it's to result in the most possible good. It's just kind of, in general, your best option. You know, even if given like a, you know, like stuck between a rock and a hard place, lesser of two evils type scenario, it's just kind of the best choice, right? Chaotic good, you know, it's stealing from one class to help another class. The Robin Hood is a great example of the whole thing, because, you know, taking money from rich people, giving it to poor people, it's a good thing for sure. It's just, you know, you're still hurting somebody, right? But your intention there is to be an equalizer, and that's kind of, you know, part of where the issue comes into play. It's it kind of goes both ways. A real life kind of example of that. kind of hard to think about one, I suppose. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of a perfect example, but in just any random situation, right? It's I don't know, maybe like you were at a bar and somebody was just like, you know, aggravating somebody else, but like severely. However they're doing that, just being generally a not cool dude, and then you sneak up behind him and choke him out, you know. It's kind of an extreme example for sure, but you know, you are putting good into the world and then also, you know, putting evil into the world simultaneously. You have to kind of work through that one yourself. In any situation, it's that, you know, maybe it's like you look at the situation and then, you know, kind of just decide, like, who needs the help here, and then you help the one that you believe needs the help, whether or not they do. And so that can go kind of either way. Lawful neutral. For a long time, I thought lawful neutral was kind of my go-to, like IRL, but I guess it's not on the grounds that, no, I mean, I lean lawful. When it comes down to, you know, what does, like, the rule say versus inherently opposing the rule, I would prefer to be technically correct, but that's just not always the optimal choice, you know? Lawful neutral is impersonal. It's, you know, it is leaving any party's best interest up to whatever system is agreed upon, right? It's playing by the rules, you know, win or lose. It's not necessarily that you win or lose, it's that, you know, given the agreed upon, you know, agreement, follow it through for your gain or your loss, and it is what it is. Lawyers do that for sure. They are paid to argue the rules, not the morality of it, just the rules. Did he technically commit whatever crime? Who is technically correct? Those type of things. And if it's very obvious that a murderer murdered somebody,
I have.
but for whatever reason, technically he didn't, then it just kind of is what it is. He didn't do it.
Oh,
It's a weird one in a way. I generally agree with lawful neutral, on the grounds that the systems are in place for a reason, and so if you default to deferring to a system, it's probably the best option, for better or worse. You know, not all systems are good systems, but all systems are there for a reason. Sometimes the reason is in the public's best interest. Sometimes it's because somebody put a system in place. That's just how it is, and you live with it. True neutral. I'm kind of on the corner, like the corner between, you know, lawful good and true neutral. So in like that realm of things. You know, true neutral is very much, I hate to say like animalistic, because it's not. Does I want to talk to me? Oh, yeah, for the quest.
Yeah.
gotta be with you.
I'll get to that quest when I get to it.
I feel quite hungry.
Yeah, so true neutral, what is best at the time? it's definitely a lack of commitment for sure. You know, it's lying to somebody because I'll use my best example. It's you know, I'm going to hope that anybody listening to this is going to understand my message, maybe not exactly the words I use, but it's kind of like code switching, and I'm going to hope that it's okay to use that term. And what I mean is, it's you know, it's examples, maybe not in like a real life scenario, but it's telling a bandit on the road wherever you're going with your party, like, yeah, we will totally just give you our money and walk away for sure, and then you backstab them. It's you know, it's kind of like being a mercenary in a type of way where it's like, yep, we will fight for you for sure, and then you do, and then the other side is like, hey, we'll pay you double, and then you switch sides. It's kind of like that. It sort of goes both ways. It's a lack of commitment for sure, but it's resulting in your best interest. That may be a bit contradictory to some of the stuff I said earlier, but it's following a few steps down the line. You know, what will result in the most benefit for me, you know? And that's kind of where that is. Chaotic neutral is definitely like animals, more or less. They have like instincts and things, but that's not really like a lawful system necessarily.
Yeah.
It's not a lawful system. It's just not necessarily in this context the right answer, you know. So in real life, acting chaotic neutral is benefiting yourself, of course, benefiting you and people around you, as compared to, you know, chaotic evil, where it's like only for your benefit. There we go. Oh, super easy. You may pay to be
Cough up the cord.
released. And he dies anyway. Yeah, so it's a whole thing. But definitely also trying.
Don't move a finger.
What?
Surrender!
What did I do?
You've committed a crime.
Right
and
up, right where you are.
What did I do?
You killed someone. You.
Oh my god.
There's some-
I won't put up with any more.
If that's how you want it, it.
Wow, that's super dumb. Maybe we can apply this to the situation. Chaotic neutral would probably just run away. Because it's the best option right now. Seems like it'd be, well, I guess chaotic neutral would say, like, man, it'd be fun to just fight these guys. So let's do that. True neutral would probably say, I'll agree with imprisonment because I don't want to hurt my reputation. It's just ultimately is probably my best choice, but I'm going to pick that one. Your rationale definitely factors a lot into how alignment is divvied up, but I guess I'm going to jail.
Put me in jail then.
Just the accommodation.
That is really stupid, though. was a human. Come on. Yeah. Continuing lawful evil. Maliciously using a system for your personal gain. Being very selfish. Like, very much not the right thing to do. You're hurting people around you for, for your own gain, and that's not good. But, even if, under whatever given system, you are technically in the right, but you're still hurting people around you. Not, by being fair, by being malicious, right? It's, it's like if somebody gives you 3 things and then gives you 2 receipts, one for the first item, one for the second, for it gets to give you the third, and then immediately is like, like, all right, you're all set. Oh wait, hang on, you just signed one more thing, and then you turn around and say like, nope, I don't have that thing, and then you keep the thing. Like, yeah, sure, I mean, you didn't sign for it, you have it, they already lost it, so now it's yours. Like, okay, sure, but, that's still actively malicious to help yourself. That's kind of an example. Neutral evil would just be straight up taking something from somebody because you want the money, or you want the thing, or you don't want them to have it. It's for the sake of, I don't want you to be happy. And then,
Get out before I break a few of your bones. So you'll remember me for good.
What? It was such... it was a human. Whatever. Yeah, so that's kind of where that one is. Neutral evil. Evil for the sake of evil. Pretty much the worst thing you can possibly do. Just generally being a not cool dude because it's fun to not be a cool dude, which is super dumb, but sure. Leaving us with chaotic evil, which is not the worst evil, right? Chaotic evil just enjoys the nature of, it's do whatever you want in your, selfishly. It is very much backstabbing people for your own gain, right? So it's not for the sake of doing the wrong thing, it's doing the wrong thing with the intention of benefiting yourself, right? It's breaking rules, because breaking the rule would help you or whatever. So that's kind of where that one is. It's a whole thing. So that's figure that one out however you will, but that's all. There we go. That's all generally, my opinions and thoughts on the alignment system. Whenever you think about stuff, like wherever you think that you fall, the average person probably falls somewhere around, neutral leaning good on average. Neutral leaning good, tending towards chaotic, because just, by the nature of the beast, people don't, that's, man, I can't clear my throat. people tend to not like being told what to do. They would rather just do their own thing, because it's just, it's easier, is what it is. But at the same time, if for no other reason than just to get by generally, people would probably rather just do the right thing, because it just simplifies their life to not have to worry about the consequences. But it's still the right thing, and, it's... The average person is probably neutral leaning, neutral good, generally. Or I like to think so. Maybe the average person is a bigger piece of crap than I think, but I like to think the average person, is somewhat self-sacrificing, generally not going to hurt people for the sake of I want to hurt people. Just generally, not a bad dude, right? That's most of my thoughts and opinions. It's 41 minutes of me talking about the topic. Some people out there, are definitely, I think antisocial is the right word. In the sense that they just generally want to hurt people. Like, they just enjoy other people being in pain, being unhappy, those types of things. And that's how they see it. Sensible people aren't going to do that. A sensible person is not going to just wake up every day and say, like, man, I really want to go out and fight people because I like it when people are hurt, or whatever. Because that's super dumb. Like, that's really dumb. But at the same time, the average person doesn't wake up every day and say, this is exactly what the rules say, so I'm going to follow it literally exactly to a T. Because it just complicates their life, having to, remember codes and stuff, and, what should you be doing as prescribed by somebody or some group that you have either, possibly never met, you don't know why there are rules, those kind of things. Like, case in point for lawful neutral, there's like the wet monkey theory thing. Wet monkey theory is wet monkey theory, and I love this idea. I think it's a sociology thing, but to briefly put it into context, it's that there was like an experiment or something that some dude did because he's weird, where he put a bunch of monkeys in a cage with a ladder, and then when the monkeys got on the ladder, he would douse them all in water, and they didn't like that. And so after a while, no one really went near the ladder, and if one of the monkeys did, the other monkeys would beat him up. And so, after a while of that, no monkeys touched the ladder. Like, alright, cool. So they took out half the monkeys, put in a bunch of new monkeys. So it was some of the originals and some new ones. And the new ones would go near the ladder, and they would get beat up. And they were like, oh, okay, so we don't go near the ladder. So the original monkeys, who had gotten wet before, they knew we don't go near the ladder or we get wet. These new monkeys, they were just like, well, if we go near the ladder, we get beat up. Copy that. And then they took out all the original monkeys and then put in some new ones. So now, no one in the cage has ever been doused in water. All they know is, if you go near the ladder, we beat you up. And jumped.
Please.
What happened to you?
Those human devils killed my husband. And I'm left with nothing but to beg. I'd like to bring the children something better to eat than acorn.
Of course.
Thank you, sir.
Oh. Okay, cool. Yeah, so none of the monkeys had ever gotten wet. They just, you know, did it because the guys for them did it. So, a bunch of people that have no clue why this rule's in place are still rigidly following the rule. Even though it's a dumb rule. And, you know, that's the difference. Animals can't ask the question why, so they couldn't ask, you know, they didn't know the reason. They didn't, like, test a hypothesis or anything, you know? And that's a good example of the whole, you know, lawful neutral kind of concept. It gets really weird whenever you start trying to figure out how the chaotic stuff works, because it just doesn't all really check out super well. It all just kind of sounds samey, like it's taking it's taking what you want into your own hands, which just works out sometimes and sometimes it doesn't.
Rosszajem vagy rossz időben? Ottni! Látjátok ott az a gényláda? Megöllek, te büdös!
Oh wow, there's a lot of humans.
Látjátok? Ellenség! Jó van, állj le, feladom, világ!
There we go. That's the human cat. He's the bad one. And I think the last one ran off. Cool. Yeah, so the alignment system is really cool. In a D&D context, it's a lot more rigid, I suppose. These are things that, like, affect, you know, alignments specifically. And, you know, that can complicate stuff, I suppose. Because you have to perfectly be in one alignment or the other. And in general, I've never had a game where people bounce around alignments a whole lot. Also, that is one of the items we need. Let's go. And I think that's all we need. Yeah. Oh, actually, there's one of the humans. Mess this guy up. Yeah. In real life, trying to apply it is definitely a bit harder. You know, if anybody watching is one of those people that just enjoys hurting people, you know, I kind of like to know what the rationale behind it is. Just out of curiosity, like, why would you? Well, I know why somebody would want to do that, I guess, but yeah, it just seems like it's not really in your best interest, on the grounds that, you know, if you follow it a little bit down the line, it will ultimately hurt you in the end. So it's just not really an ideal option. Also, that is all the humans. I'm counting 4 deaths. So, you know, I guess kind of one of those to each their own type of deal in a sort of way. Ambush. Do not want to fight an ambush. I will probably die. Alignments are cool. In real life, you know, it's more nebulous. It's definitely not a perfect system by any means. To rigidly classify yourself as one alignment is not a very good way to gauge it. It just doesn't work. Knowing like roughly where you stand might maybe help some people. Framing things in a alignment context helps me rationalize things sometimes. You know, like knowing that an action may not be technically correct, but it is the right thing to do. It helps me justify doing the thing. Because if the end result is a good thing, the big picture says that's good, you know? Like, maybe not like a perfect example, but first one that came to mind is like if a millionaire dropped a $10 bill and I picked it up, you know, lawful good would return it. Lawful neutral would probably keep it with the intention that he lost it, I found it, finders keepers, so it's mine. Lawful evil would say roughly the same thing, but, you know, like, if thereafter was confronted, like, hey, I dropped that, it's mine, lawful neutral would probably say, well, here you go, it's yours, it's fine. Lawful evil would just die on the hill of, I found it, it's mine, you know? Neutral good, you know,
I hope I can be of help
and
to you, Knight.
it's contextual, right? You know, like depending on the scenario, like it's a lot of times you don't have an option to like pick one of 9 choices. It's just not like that's not how things work. But a neutral good might give it to like a nearby homeless person or something, or donate it or something, with the rationale that maybe I don't need the money, he doesn't need the money, someone out there does, so what isn't really my money in the first place goes where it's needed, or something kind of like that. It's once again, it's very hard to like definitively you know, so the situation could be true
Let's talk about
neutral would probably keep the money with the intention of, wow, look, I just found money.
Since
I can now
you're
keep
a
this money and do something cool with it. And then does whatever they do with it. Buys a thing.
Very
or
well.
Gets alcohol or whatever. Or just whatever they do. Chaotic neutral, or neutral evil is, he dropped the money, I'm going to take it with the intention of, I don't want you to have it. And then, like, if there was a nearby homeless person or something, they would actively not give them the money. Meaning, they, you know, there would be no, like, sympathy, no, they wouldn't care that somebody needed it. It's just, I'm going to hang on to it, I'm going to tear it in half and throw it in the trash can. Because I don't need it, I just don't want you to have it. Chaotic good, I mean, would grow, same example. He wouldn't, like, steal a wallet, you know, I mean, they would steal a wallet and give it to somebody, but that's not realistic, like, let's be fair.
Yeah.
It'd be more like, you know,
Yeah.
like, if you were confronted thereafter, lying to them with the intention of giving it away, not keeping it. That is chaotic good. you know,
Hey, lad!
because you're, you know,
Don't
you're
you wanna do
taking
a wager
the
on
the
the
good from one person to give to some other person, right? Chaotic, neutral. We're going down the alignment system in a different order. I know it's weird, just bear with me. You know, they would likely hang on to it and would just be like, oh, cool, found the money. That's dope. Cool. And then, you know, without any context for where does this money, like, where would it help anybody? What could I do with this kind of thing? Just be like, ah, this seems cool. Found a thing. Let's go. And leave it at that. And then chaotic evil would, you know, I mean, they would maliciously keep the money for their own personal, for selfish reasons, not benefit, not gain, for selfish reasons. You know, they would pick the money up, and then it's a weird context because I can hardly like rationalize you know, doing evil for the sake of evil. But you know, it's just like, ooh, it's like I'm stealing. This is fun, cool. You know, it's just being an agent of chaos, kind of. Just generally being kind of a tool. And once again, the alignment chart is a perfect square, but it's more like the lines between like lawful good, lawful neutral is a lot broader, and maybe I just kind of see it as like a lot narrower down towards the chaotic evil spectrum of things, because I really just cannot rationalize it. I can't figure it out. I mean, you know, there's a reason that a lot of people put a lot of thought into this, and maybe I just put too much thought into it. But yeah, that's like basically an hour of my
Hey,
thoughts
lad!
on the alignment system.
Don't you want a little wager on the Ratte tourney?
And we're about to hit an hour mark, so that is 3 hours in one day for me. So I'm good for now. Hopefully, somebody appreciated my ramblings on the alignment chart. If anybody has any opinions, insight, or input, or questions, feel free to leave a comment and we can talk about it. So, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.